Welcome back, everyone, to another amazing, glorious Company Affairs 2 replay cast brought to you by the great M. Semenescu, who has sent me this replay in. Thank you, M. Semenescu, for sending in the replay. Yeah, Company Affairs 2 replays. I don't know. I just do them like twice a year or something. It's that time of the year where I get the itch to just like launch Company Affairs 2 and even play it some. Like, I've even played it some in the past few weeks. Like fucking 10 games or so in like 3 weeks or something. I don't know. It's fun. Like, game's pretty good right now. I don't know. It's not that terrible. Like, I really also need to like get into Company Affairs 3, I suppose, when like the open alpha or beta comes back up. And also like now, since the last time I casted, actually, I have a new PC, which is obviously able to completely just destroy the game and all that. Yeah, sorry to Semenescu, actually, who, by the way, is like one of the fucking oldest ass viewers of the channel, you know. Apparently coming from the Empire and Rommel channel, if those of you who remember. Actually, he sent me this replay in like 5 weeks ago or something, and I just completely ignored him because I was not in the mood to cast games. In fact, I was just in general not in the mood to like make videos at all, which is why you saw no videos come out during this time. Plus, I found a new job, blah, 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 a bunch of shit's happening in my life. Blah, 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 real life nonsense. Let's get into the game. Let's go. I'm ready and pumped. So we've got Semenescu playing as the Wehrmacht and his friend Samp. Not sure if he's pre-made or not. Versus two British, Simple Jack and Count Oddjob. If I was Empire or Rommel, I would shout a homophobic slur at the moment because here comes the Universal Carrier. Of course. Just out of all of the games that there has to be a Universal Carrier, it has to be the one where you purchase a Kuppelwagen. Just getting completely countered by a unit that was almost never seen. Oh, actually, two Universal Carriers, both British players going for one. Interesting strategy, actually. This means that they can get some map control in the early game. They can really push in against the Germans. Nice machine gun setup by Semenescu, trying to stop these British infantry from pushing up to his strategic point over here. Panzerfaust is going to go off and damage the engine of the Universal Carrier, but the Universal Carrier, remember, does have the crew repair for 25 munitions, can get rid of that damaged engine and get back up to full HP. However, perhaps it won't be allowed to reach that point because here comes a second Grenadier squad flanking around, utilizing the opportunity provided by the MG42, suppressing these two squads to chase down and flank the Universal Carrier. This might be a very, very nice snipe with the second Panzerfaust. Is he gonna get into range? I don't remember. Oh, actually, we've got a bit of a micro mistake, actually. So what Semenescu was doing, let's actually pause and explain this. So, well, I'm not sure if, like, the people who watch my channel anymore even, like, understand or play Company Affairs 2 at all, but like when you're moving around and you're ordering a unit to do something that is targeted, they will reach the range at which they can use that ability, then they will stop and they will start to play the animation and the unit will stop. But if the target goes out of range, then the animation is going to stop and the unit will just kind of like wiggle back and just go, you know, kind of like it will kind of like lag into the enemy kind of weirdly. Although it looks like the Panzerfaust is finally out. Nice, out of control. Death to the Universal Carrier. That is a very, very nice pickup. Don't even remember how much it costs at this point in Company Affairs 2 history. It's 260 manpower. Very nice wipe. Not really a big loss in terms of manpower, but a decent one nonetheless. However, the British infantry sections are pushing up and are able to cap the strategic point. However, Semenescu was also able to utilize these Grenadiers to deal with the fuel points. So we do have a bit of a fuel point decap action, thus decreasing the British fuel income back up to the level of the Germans, even though they have more strategic points. The Germans are able to hold the other fuel point. The Universal Carrier here, was upgraded with a Vickers K machine gun, but it was annihilated by a Raketenwerfer coming out from Samp. Yeah, this is kind of why you don't go Universal Carriers versus OKW, but you do go Universal Carrier versus Wehrmacht, because the OKW can just set up one HQ. Actually, you don't even need to set up one HQ, and you can get a Raketenwerfer out. You just need a truck, I believe. He regrets that retreat now. Ooh, wonder why. Some medics are on the field for Simple Jack. But yes, basically, my point is that the OKW can just get out that Raketenwerfer and easily counter you, even in the very early game, while the Nazis over here, the other Nazis, the less Nazis, have to wait all the way until Tier 2, the Leichte Mechanized Company, to get out the Pak AT gun and have to deal with Panzerfausts. And of course, Panzerfausts do two-shot universal carriers, but it's much more difficult to get in the kill if you're supporting them with infantry correctly. This was a major mistake by the British, just getting out those universal carriers and not really utilizing them to their fullest potential, because now they're on the back foot. They're actually getting flanked. Their Vickers machine gun is getting flanked. Although the command officer, or whatever the hell this guy's name is, assault officer, is able to pretty easily repel one of the Grenadier squads and was going to annihilate the second Grenadier squad if it wasn't for this MG42. Grenade coming out on the first Grenadier squad, almost wiping them out, and here comes actually an artillery barrage. Although, was it only just smoke? No, it was not. Oh, this guy doesn't even have a fake smoke. Oh, no. Oh, okay, no, never mind. I was thinking that the second ability was the decoy smoke, but actually it's smoke barrage. But still, it was a real artillery round. Only one kill on the MG42 models, though. That's not, of course, ideal. The Nazis do have amazing map control, as you can see at the moment. They're really putting the hurt in on the Brits. A second nice gammon grenade on the OKW infantry gets a lot of model kills. Actually, only one model kill. What? Unless we've got some... Oh, no, there we go. Yeah, we've got some disemboweled Germans. Yeah, good German map control, pushing up. However, the British are now going to be able to get their units back on the map. We do have an AEC armored car coming in from Simple Jack. Count Oddjob is floating 90 fuel, and he does have the platoon command post, but he is upgrading, it looks like, weapon racks for his infantry. Although he has also gone for the requisition AEC armored car. I will say this does not point to a very good coordination between the two allied players. You don't really want to go with the same type of unit, especially if it's an armored car like the AEC. It's useful in the early game. It's decently useful against vehicles in the late game due to the target treads, but you'd much rather have at least one person be able to requisition the Bofors, or the other person going for the company command post earlier. We'll see if Simple Jack, Count Oddjob actually does go for another AC. Yeah, he does. Nice mine. He does go for another AC, and again, this vehicle is much more intended for attacking enemy light vehicles rather than infantry. And as you can see, it's really not like having that much success against these grenadiers. It's in fact kind of an easy target. It's been more effective at soaking up munitions from Panzerfausts than really anything else. And in fact, here comes the assault officer to really finish the job with the Stens. At close range, of course, very, very deadly. Gonna almost wipe a Grenadier squad. But now, finally, Semenescu has gone for Tier 2, and he's getting out some Panzer Grenadiers. And now, Panzer Grenadiers plus MG42 are going to try to get some map control back on the left side, while the British have actually completely seized the right side. Excellent move by Count Oddjob. What you really want to see at this point from Count Oddjob is, yeah, just some harassment on the field point as much as possible. To be completely honest, this machine gun would be much better used in the middle, where the OKW is just blobbing with tons of Panzer Fusiliers. This, of course, means that he has gone with the grand offensive potential for the Tiger tank. But Panzer Fusiliers could mean a couple different doctrines, so this doesn't really give away too much. Nice snipe from the AEC, but it will be very difficult for these AECs to like really deal with this gigantic blob, which is part of why perhaps it would have been better to go for a Bofors, because it doesn't look like either of these German players are really going for any artillery at all, any indirect fire in general. They know that there's no mortars, so perhaps going for a Bofors around the center area would have been good, but going for, even for a mortar emplacement would have been better at countering that blob than the double AEC, which again, useful, but not that much. Especially if the OKV is going for the battle group headquarters, and if the Wehrmacht player is obviously not going for any early game light vehicles. Looks like all the infantry is going to run straight into the MG30, sorry, not the MG34, the Vickers machine gun. Nice positioning on that, actually. Would never have guessed that they were going to go. Actually, no, it's a pretty obvious guess because this is the cutoff point. Yeah, they were trying to cut off all the right side. Looks like instead they're going to need to cap. Now, when it comes to units on the field, as you can see, both sides are pretty even when it comes to pop cap, 38 plus 42 versus 43 plus 40. So we've got a similar amount of units. Yeah, we've got a similar amount of units. However, you've got to consider that quite a bit of this pop cap for the British is tied up in these AECs. So actually, when it comes to just straight up infantry units that are just running around capping places, the Germans should have a slight advantage. I really don't have the time right now to like count every single unit on the map, but it kind of looks like, ooh, looks like that was a pretty good, perhaps grenade on these grenadiers, almost getting wiped. Decent unit preservation from both sides. I haven't really seen any major wipes, although one big rookie mistake, I suppose, that I'm seeing is that Samp over here, even though he's got the Panzer Fusiliers, which usually are a very nice manpower sink, he's floating like a ridiculous amount of manpower, 870. All of this manpower, and in fact, all of this fuel, 171 fuel, could be used right now to set up a Schwerer Panzer headquarters with 100 manpower and 90 fuel, and immediately go for a Panzer IV and a squad of Panzer Fusiliers. Sorry, not Panzer Fusiliers, Obersoldaten. And that would immediately turn sort of the tide of the battle far in the favor of the OKW. Yeah. So despite this like apparent parity in fielded units, to be completely honest, it really should be that the OKW should be much farther up in this army value graph right now. Anyway, the British troops are starting to get some veterancy, and that should be scary for the Germans, especially since Semenescu is deciding to not upgrade light machine guns on his grenadiers. And he's got some vanilla Panzer Grenadiers, but these are like, against British infantry, they're only really useful on a map like this in the early game because it's a very open map. So unless you're like getting some wipes with them in the early game and then transitioning them to Panzer Schrecks, yeah, these are not going to be very effective because by the late game, the British can upgrade a ton of Bren light machine guns on their units. In fact, he's even got the assault officer with the Vickers K light machine gun. Really? Isn't this... hold on. This used to not exist. Okay. Can he fire on the move like the commandos can with their Brens? Let's see. Oh yeah, he can fire the light machine gun on the move. I'm guessing it's going to be much less effective, of course, but... Oh, here comes an artillery strike. Do we have the double guns? No, we don't. Although, oh, okay. Oddjob has gone for the company command post, and in fact, he also has selected the artillery regiment, so he could drop in some concentration barrages once he's got enough. Oh, here comes the officer with the charge ability, the heroic charge, buffing those infantry sections with Brens, and they're just annihilating all this German infantry, like 3 meters away from their base, almost wiping out a grenadier squad and just doing a massive amount of damage. But here comes the rifle grenadier. This is why he's not upgrading those machine guns. And in fact, this was kind of underwhelming, to be completely honest. Yeah, why he's not upgrading those light machine guns is because he wants to use those rifle grenades, wants to use those Panzerfausts. But to be completely honest, it kind of looks like it's going to be a bit of a detrimental for his late game. He is getting veterancy, though, despite the fact that he hasn't upgraded his units, and so they do less damage. He's still getting some veterancy. However, upgraded grenadiers with LMGs will definitely be worse in the far, like, sort of very late game to upgraded infantry sections with light machine guns at a similar vet level. So yeah, that's kind of the problem, really. With the Grenadiers, really, the issue is that you're paying a very, very cheap price for a very strong unit, but the downside is obviously the 4 men, right? The 4 men model, which in the late game means it's much easier to just get randomly wiped by a tank shell. Plus the British units, which have 5 models and can also upgrade with the double light machine gun, so just giving them a ton of DPS, and they also have really good veterancy. But they have another advantage, and that other advantage is the fact that they can just like build sandbags and get the heavy cover bonus, which is obviously very, very strong for the British. So yeah, we've got some, oh, nice mine, but it only hits Volksgrenadiers, so not exactly the most valuable target. Looks like a bit of an offensive from the Brits on the far right against some G43 Panzer Fusiliers. These G43 Panzer Fusiliers are doing no damage to this assault officer with 5 men. Here comes the close range carnage from those Stens, just absolutely annihilating. Let me get a thumbnail or something. It's absolutely annihilating these Panzer Fusiliers. Really, like, the British infantry at the moment is giving a lot of trouble to the Nazis. And I mean, this is kind of something that happens a lot of the time. But let's see if the Nazis can actually turn this around with the late game tanks, because we've got Samp with 1,650 manpower. My dude. Samp. Get in this truck, okay? Then I'm gonna drive you off to the Gulag, and then we're gonna have a talk, right? Because, like, the fuck is up with 1,600 manpower when you're the Grand Offensive Doctrine with the Panzer Fusiliers? Like, come on, dude. Like, brain, utilize it. Like, you've got 4 infantry units on the field. 2 of them are Volksgrenadiers. 2 of them are Panzer Fusiliers. Get another Panzer Fusilier and upgrade them with those G43s, right? Then you can get another Sturm Pioneer. Upgrade those with Panzer Shreks and get a bit of extra anti-tank damage. You've got your Schwerpanzer headquarters over here. You could just go for a Panzer IV right now, but it is 15 minutes in because you've waited like so fucking long. You could have gotten this thing out already. But since you waited this fucking long, you might as well just wait for the Panther. But you can also get an Obersoldat if you want. Or in an alternative, you can get 2 Raketenwerfers and maybe even an MG34. To support your right flank. It kind of seems like you're going to the right, you're capping points, and then you're getting pushed back by these strong infantry sections with the officer. Perhaps if you had a MG34, you wouldn't be having these issues, and your team would be more ahead when it comes to the race for the techs. Speaking of the race for the techs, Semenescu does have the Battle Phase 2. He does have the Battle Phase 2, but he doesn't have the Battle Phase 3. He could perhaps go for the Battle Phase 3, especially because he's also starting to float quite a bit of fuel. Not as much manpower, and to be completely honest, it's more acceptable when it comes to the Wehrmacht to be floating some manpower, because the Wehrmacht is slightly more manpower intensive as a faction than the OKW. Oh no, here comes the wipe on the Vetuveridier! Okay, no, he survives, okay. That would have been painful. Nice unit preservation again from Semenescu. He does have a pack out, but yeah, it's mainly out to counter the AC at the moment and perhaps for any later tanks. We do have the company command post with the Comets upgraded, and we do have the company command post without any upgrades. Perhaps he's going to go for a Crusader AA or a Cromwell. He does have the resources for both. Let's see what he does. I sure hope he's not going for a Sexton. He's actually upgrading the hammer as well. Again, not a lot of communication from these Brits. In fact, you could even, when you're playing, if your teammate isn't telling you what he's going for, you could just, you know, for 0.5 seconds, look at his command post and see what he's upgrading. There's really no excuse to not diversify this unit pool that you've got. Nice cutoff, though. The big issue is the Brits are doing pretty decently, and the Brits usually are a good late-game faction, good enough to stand up to the Nazis. However, oh, here comes the artillery on the base. That's pretty cool. Well, it's definitely not cool for Semenescu, who's probably shouting a lot of slurs at the camera. Well, not at the camera, but at the screen. Although it kind of looks like the way it works is it automatically sort of hits outside the base. Interesting. Because I know that you cannot call an off-map artillery into the base anymore. You could in Company of Heroes 1, and it was great. I'm not sure why they removed it. Well, I know why they removed this, but come on, you should be able to call artillery onto the base. It's really based. Anyway, we've got the Battle Phase 3 coming up with the Support Armored Corps. You would think that he would skip the support. Oh, wait, hold on. He's the Wehrmacht now, right? You cannot really skip either of the Support Armored Corps or the Heavy Panzer Corps, because the Support Armored Corps is where you get those Panzer IVs and those Stugs, while the Heavy Panzer Corps is only for the Panzer, the Panzerwerfer, and the Brummbär. Right, he hasn't chosen a doctrine, actually, yet. He could go for the Panzer Tactician at this point. Here comes the Panzer with the Commander. So he could call in those artillery strikes. Interesting. Interesting to go with the Panzer Commander instead of the pinto-mounted MG42, to be completely honest. Like, you're going for the Panther versus British. I really would go for the pinto-mounted MG42 because you really need that extra anti-infantry damage as much as possible. It is a very important... like subtly good piece of equipment. You can get like up to 20-25 kills, and against the British, that is very hurtful. I really am not sure what these Royal Engineers are doing, charging Panzer Grenadiers in heavy cover. Yeah, that's a very, very bad idea. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Panzer Grenadiers could wipe both of these squads. There goes one of them. Yep. And the Brits are still only equipped with AECs when it comes to vehicles. Yeah, no vehicles coming up for either of those British players. Okay, here we come with the Brens off of the forward HQ. Very interesting play over here. Now, what was I saying? Yeah, you can't really skip the tier 3 anymore as the Nazis, and you kind of would want to go for the tier 4. Unless you could have something like the Tiger from the Spearhead Doctrine. Spearhead Doctrine, of course, just, a good old Wehrmacht classic, with the reconnaissance overflight, the Panzer Tactician, the fragmentation bombing, and the Tiger. At this point, the mortar half-track is really not all that useful. And in fact, I'm not even the biggest fan of the mortar half-track in general anyway. Panther moves up. Really, this Panther was thinking that he was going to have some British tanks to shoot at, but he does not, which is also why it would be really nice to have this pinto-mounted MG42, so it could actually be a unit. Currently, this Panther is a sink of 490 manpower and 185 fuel that's not doing anything at all. It's not providing any kind of game impact, really, which is what you're looking for with your units. You're not really supposed to be buying units just to counter a single enemy unit or because you think it's cool, although unless you're talking about the KV-2 and the Sturmtiger, in which case those are very cool units. Oh, but this is just... This is what you want to see when you're the Nazis, and when you really don't want to see when you're not the Nazis. A nice Napoleonic line of grenadiers just mowing down the British at their forward HQ. Yup. Yeah, this is, it looks like the British have absolutely no counter to this, which is kind of funny. You should really get that Bren. Oh, and we've got a Tiger! Here comes the big Papa Pump. Well, to be fair, that's not the King Tiger, it's the normal Tiger, so really not the big Papa Pump, but somewhat close. Yeah, we got the big Tiger at 21 minutes. Not even that early, but looks like the British were caught completely off guard by this offensive, and they've been completely pushed back to their base. We've got the AT gun trying to put some shots desperately into the armor of that Tiger. It's, of course, not going to work because the Tiger is actually supported by infantry. So this nice combined arms push is going to easily able to overwhelm the British, who were kind of... The issue with the British was that their lead was kind of built on a paper sort of lead. It was kind of a paper, only on paper they were stronger because... The issue is, yeah, they had some very powerful units, especially when it comes to infantry, but they were really lacking in solidity. They didn't really have any way to anchor themselves onto any single area. They weren't using the terrain too effectively, and plus, they were very lax when it comes to their fuel spending. And only now they're going for the Comet on one side and the Sherman Firefly on the other. So they're about to seriously turn things around when it comes to anti-vehicle power, but they've definitely lost some major ground and some veteran units that are going to be difficult to get back and replace. The Comet is going to definitely improve the situation due to the mobility that it's just providing. But when it comes to the Comet's usefulness, we do have 2 Pak 40 guns and only a single Rakenwerfer, even though we've got 1,700 manpower in the bank. And again, kind of shitty coordination over here. I didn't even realize this. Going for the Grand Offensive, you know, Tiger, and going for the Spearhead, also Tiger. So this redundancy is really hurting the British, because imagine if they had... imagine if instead of going both for the Comet, one of the British players had gone for an early Comet or for, I don't know, even a 17-pounder. This Tiger push wouldn't have been nearly as effective, or even a Churchill to counter all the German infantry. This German push wouldn't have been nearly as effective if we weren't waiting both for an extremely late-game vehicle. But, I mean, the extreme late-game vehicles are out. When it comes to PopCap, actually, the British are superior to the Germans due to the fact that Samp is floating an insane amount of resources. And so he's only down to 56, you know, command points when he could be at full PopCap at the moment. Same situation as Simplejack, but Simplejack, it's not because he's floating, it's because he's lost a lot of units in that last push. The Panther goes in and immediately just goes in with absolutely no recon. To be completely honest, this is kind of stupid, because you're the command Panther, so you've got extra line of sight. Plus, you know, you've got a couple infantry units sitting back at base. You really should be getting those up and using those to scout. Or perhaps even go for a infrared half-track, which is an amazing vehicle when it comes to the OKW, that provides you with excellent scouting capabilities. It allows you to know in advance where the enemy units are, so you don't get ambushed by random British AT guns. These things can't camouflage, so they're actually really easy to spot and avoid getting your tank ambushed. Nice Grenade is not going to take out the crew of this 6-pounder, thus conserving the veterancy. So the British, all of a sudden, are starting to look a little bit better, but my prediction is still that the Germans are in the lead, because you see the VP situation is equal, and the Germans have a more versatile unit composition at this point, which in these kinds of games is very important. It's rare that you can play a 2v2 with like very niche specialized units and come out victorious very easily. And when it comes to the British, they do have a few like kind of weird units like the Assault Officer and the AEC that are going to complicate things when it comes to microing, while the Germans are very, very straightforward. You know, you've got your Panther, you've got your Panzer Fusiliers, your MG, your Rakenwerfers, and when it comes to Semenescu, it's even more straightforward. Paks, Grenadiers with light machine guns, couple Panzer Grenadiers, one Tiger. In fact, the only part of this composition I dislike are the Panzer Grenadiers. I think I would have gone for an extra Grenadier squad on this map, unless you're going to go ahead and upgrade those Panzer Grenadiers with Panzerschrecks. Because the way I'm seeing things right now, oh, this is a potentially dangerous thing. You're moving up with your Tiger as your first unit, which is kind of dangerous, to be completely honest. Anyway, when it comes to this kind of map, the Panzer Grenadiers are not going to be all that effective against enemy infantry due to the sort of long distances engagements tend to happen at. Oh, not enough. Well, how to lose an AEC. This is such a shame. These vehicles, you're supposed to be keeping them around for a long time and getting them veteraned up. Like, look at this armored car. If it was Ved 1, it would have the target tread veteran ability. if it was Vet 2, it would have the survivability and mobility, thus allowing it to survive easier. And then it improves rate of fire, accuracy, and turret rotation. So it can become kind of a deceptively strong unit. Okay, Grenadiers getting flanked. And yeah, as you can see, here comes the Panzer Grenadiers, you know. 2 Panzer Grenadier squads, that's like 400 and... Sorry, not 400. It's 340 per unit, right? It's 340 per unit, so that's 680 manpower versus 2 infantry sections and an assault officer. Now, the 2 infantry sections are 540... plus the assault officer 300, so 840, so only slightly less expensive, and definitely losing that engagement. And you know, like the other major issue with these Panzer Grenadiers is look at the income that you have. Simple Jack over here, who does have a pretty strong, decently strong infantry corps with some veteran units. He's gaining a 222 manpower per minute, while Semenescu, who's got a definitely stronger infantry corps, but mostly when it comes to infantry, what is bigger for him are the pack guns and the Panzer Grenadiers. Everything else is literally the same. He's only gaining 183 manpower. This is because Panzer Grenadiers are very high upkeep units. So when it comes to Company of Heroes 2, every single unit model that you have on the field costs manpower to upkeep. So your manpower income gets lower the more units you have on the field. And certain units, especially more elite units, have higher upkeeps. And the Panzer Grenadiers are particularly nasty when it comes to their expense. What the fuck is this gameplay? So Samp calls in the Tiger, of course, and just sends it in without any infantry support. And it gets destroyed, well, not destroyed, but very heavily damaged. Then the Panther tank comes in after the Tiger has already taken a ton of damage, coming from the same direction where you know that there's an AT gun and the Comet looking at you. And, of course, he suffers the same fate. So this is, like, not ideal. Not ideal at all. Yup. So, I suppose time for a little bit of a mid-game breather. We do have the assault officer going in kind of randomly, to be completely honest. I'm not sure what he's trying. Oh, we've got some MG44s. Actually, 2 MG44s covering the same area. Bit of, perhaps a bit redundant, but all right. Covering the mid-VP, which the mid-VP seems to have gone slightly to the favor of the Brits due to the fact that the Brits are 330 as opposed to 270 VPs. Got a bit of a skirmish on the far left, which probably going to go the Germans' way. I mean, these Grenadiers are weirdly at half strength. Oh no! Here comes a Gammon Grenade or whatever the hell it's called. Doesn't take out the Grenadier squad. And here comes the Tiger! But he's only on fire at vehicles. Oh, and he hits a mine! A mine in full view of the Sherman Firefly, which for some reason is charging. Is he not seeing? Oh, because I guess this... Yeah, I guess this tree is blocking the line of fire. I don't know, super weird. Looks like one of the packs were decrewed, but the second one wasn't. This is gonna save the Tiger and allow it to get the hell out of there. The other Tiger, though, is completely unsupported. Where is the infantry? It's in the base. What are these 2 Nazi tanks doing without their infantry support? Yeah. Yeah, this site tells you everything you're supposed to know. Oh, and here comes a Comet, actually. Comet also from Simple Jack. Although it's... Yeah, when you're going in specifically to destroy a vehicle, you need to turn on target vehicles only. This Comet has not done this, and he's only saved by the fact that there are no Grenadiers around, only Panzer Grenadiers. So no Panzerfaust coming in to damage the engine. Both of the packs are decrewed at the moment, which allowed this Comet to make that play. It also allows this Sherman Firefly to move in, although what this Sherman Firefly does not know is that these Panzer Grenadiers are actually upgrading Panzerschrecks right now, and now they're gonna pop those out and completely miss. So they're gonna need to get the fuck out of there. These Grenadiers definitely should be trying to recruit the packs and getting the hell out of the center. Yeah, the fight for the center still continues, but yeah, actually, where is Count Oddjob's army? Like, he keeps sending in like 1 or 2 infantry units while he's got like most of his stuff back over here. What the fuck are these units doing? Like, what the fuck are you doing here? What is the issue? What is the fucking issue? What is supposed to be coming from here to flank you? Just put 1 machine gun covering this area, then switch out these 2 other units and get them mid. Like, you desperately need help against an OKW player who, when he remembers to bring up his infantry, is going to be using, you know, much more force than you are. So the concentration of strength is going to just destroy you. And as you can see, this has allowed all of the British infantry to be destroyed. Well, not destroyed, but pushed back. Now the Comet is... Yeah, now this allows the Germans to decrew some AT guns. And this allows the Tiger to push up, you know? There goes one of the engineer squads. There goes the AT crew. And, I mean, the other AT gun is over here, and the other AT gun is over here, so it's not exactly like the British are defenseless completely. There's also the Vet-2 Comet, but still, not exactly ideal. The Vet-2 Comet is going to be piling in some strong, some strong rounds. It's also got the white phosphorus to eliminate weapon crews, which is obviously pretty good. In the meantime, while this is happening, we've got a major fight going on the left-hand side. The Sherman Firefly was trying to retreat, but it runs right into the pack guns, and it's almost going to be destroyed. It's actually a Vet-2 Sherman Firefly, so it's incredibly lucky and important that it survives. It should have activated the emergency war speed, to be completely honest. Simplejack losing quite a bit of units. In fact, he seems to have lost 1 infantry section and perhaps a couple of supporting units, but he does keep those veteran tanks alive, which is very important. To be completely honest, the only reason why this is happening is because Semenescu is being kind of a bit too like, I suppose, cautious in a way. He's not trying to go for the kill on this Comet and this Firefly, which he perhaps could have done. To be completely honest, he probably could have done. He probably could have done this with his Panther and his Vet-1 Tiger. But to be completely honest, it serves him well enough to keep his units alive and keep their veterancy going. Although I suppose, again, these are British we're talking about, not exactly Soviets or something. So I don't know. The late game veterancy quality game is rather equal. Yeah. Now the line, I suppose, if we look at the tactical map right now, the line has shifted somewhat majorly towards the British side of the map. So we've got the Germans able to cover most of the mid and even come in and cap some fuel point on the Allied side of the map. One major mistake that the Germans are clearly making is that they're not harassing enough on the right. They really need to be sending out those one squad armies to decap some points. Although they have gone in... Oh, that was a nice Panther artillery. Very well, like, called in. It was not... the British player, Count Oddjob, was not able to get out and micro away in time. The Tiger is... How did he get there? How did the Tiger get here? I have no idea. Anyway, again, perhaps he could have destroyed the Sherman Firefly. Does he know that the Comet is, like, this low on HP? I don't know. I really feel like Semenescu's main mistake right now is the fact that he's not, like, he's got 326 fuel. He could perhaps afford to lose at least one of his vehicles, perhaps the Panther, so he can rebuild it immediately. Should be trying to play more aggressively, but he has like sufficiently demolished Simple Jack's forces, and in fact, it is very, very good that his enemy doesn't have like repaired vehicles, because he currently has to rebuild his own engineers. While in the meantime, Samp's Tiger is able to walk straight into the base and destroy the Sexton artillery gun, which is obviously a pretty decent kill. And he's gonna get out with the smoke bombs. Wow, good operation, good special military operation over here. Z Tiger coming in, absolutely annihilates the Sexton at the very least, which, to be completely honest, the Sexton was being annoying, but it didn't look like it was having major impact. But still, better to kill it than to leave it alive and firing. However, and this is a pretty big development, Count Oddjob's Comet is now up to vet free, and that is going to be a very scary vehicle with the improved mobility and the random ass grenades that the crew throws out. Those are not really that effective, but definitely the improved mobility is going to be very effective. Where is your micro, Count Oddjob? Come on. Like, earlier on, I did criticize the fact that the pintle-mounted machine gun was not upgraded, and instead the Panzer Commander was. But he really is using this coordinated barrage to some pretty good effect. Overall, it's definitely gotten less infantry kills than if he had with the pintle-mounted machine gun, and these are 80 munitions every single time he uses them with the coordinated barrage, these barrages. But, I mean, it's been effective for sure at taking out AT guns, so that is obviously something that the Panther is usually lacking at. However, something that... Oh, and also a vet-free Firefly. So when it comes to getting veterancy on their vehicles, the British are ahead of the game a little bit. The fact is, with the level of map control that we've got on the favor of the Germans, I really don't see how the British are going to be able to drag this game out for so long. Like, I don't know. The Panther is damaged, but it can be repaired over here. I mean, he hasn't lost it, and the other Panther also hasn't been lost. The only thing I'm thinking about is the fact that, again, if we had just one of these Panzer Fusiliers or one of these Volksgrenadiers, instead of blobbing into the center all the time, taking some damage and retreating away, if we had one of these squads capping this point, or even attempting to, just imagine, like, okay, there's a machine gun, just at least attempt to do it. Maybe there's a machine gun, maybe there isn't. If there was a single unit capping there, like every once in a while, this VP situation would certainly be looking very different. Oh, this Tiger is dead. Yeah, the Tiger's pushed up way too far by himself. Are we gonna have the rockets coming in? No, we don't have the munitions for the Tulip Rocket Strike. Actually, we do have the munitions for the Tulip Rocket Strike. Is it gonna be used? No, it isn't. And the vet-free Sherman Firefly is almost going to die. In fact, I expected the Tiger to die, but it looks like it's going to survive. We do have a nice flank from the assault officer taking out the vet-free machine gun. Obviously a major loss for the Germans, but not nearly as major a loss as that Tiger, vet-free Tiger would have been. Yeah, we've got a vet-free Tiger. Now, vet-free Tiger, not as just insane as it used to be in Company of Heroes 1, but still a force to be reckoned with. There goes one of the Volksgrenadiers. Oh, it looks like the Germans are starting to like get sloppy on their unit preservation at the moment. We do have the MG34 heavy machine gun keeping control of that mid-center area right now with the suppressing fire. But, yeah, I mean, the Brits are able to cap the left-hand side due to this sort of lull in Semenescu's map presence. He needs to repair his vehicles. But once he gets back up, he's gonna, I feel like, have a pretty solid grip on the left-hand side. The issue I'm really seeing is, again, why isn't there a capping going on this right side, on this extreme right side VP? The issue here is that Samp knows that his opponent is boxed in the base because he was in the base killing his dudes earlier on. So I'm really not sure what he's thinking over here, that, you know, somehow the British are able to defend this, like, oddly shaped line with the back to the map border. Somehow. I'm not sure how he's thinking that that's happening. And now we do have, okay, so Semenescu has indeed gone for both of the Panzer Grenadiers upgraded with Panzerschrecks. This is obviously, you know, a far superior alternative at the moment than leaving, you know, to leaving them with just STG-44s. Not really for the Comet, more for the Sherman Firefly. The Comet is not that well armored, but it's got a lot of HP. But the Sherman Firefly is extremely fragile, and so if you get a volley off of these 4 Panzerschrecks, it's going to be nasty. Wait. Combined arms? What the fuck? Oh, trained to operate. Oh, I guess Panzer Grenadiers just now have combined arms. Okay, all right. Makes sense. They are Panzer Grenadiers. The Vet 5 Volksgrenadiers are dead. Very unfortunate. Here comes the barrage, but now finally Count Oddjob has learned to just move out of the way of that Panther barrage. So that does nothing. Raketenwerfer decrewed. And now the Panther can't really do anything. Where is the Tiger? Where are the units being rebuilt? They should be being rebuilt. Couple of Raketenwerfers, come on. You've got a vet-free Comet. Get some Raketenwerfers to support your vehicles against this guy. Far left, Tiger still holding the fort with 19 kills. I mean, the British are slightly able to regain their fuel. But look at this resource situation, actually. The Nazis have, like, so many more resources. They could lose, like, half their army and rebuild it. While if the Allies lose their units, they cannot replace them for, you know, a good 5 minutes or so. Which is part of why I'm thinking that if the Germans realize what advantage they were in, and perhaps they should be realizing this because, come on, they were up to the base a few seconds ago, well, a few minutes ago, so they should know that the British are on, not really their last legs, but they're definitely on the ropes. They should be switching their strategy to a more offensive one. They should be trying to put more pressure in on the Brits and trying to play sort of attrition game, because at this point, when it comes to attrition, if both sides lose equally, the Nazis are going to be at an advantage, because the British units have more valuable veterancy on the field, especially this Firefly and this Comet that we've got, and all of these infantry sections are perhaps slightly more valuable than the vet-free. The vet-free infantry section is just perhaps slightly more valuable than the vet-free grenadiers. Although it is easier to gain veterancy back up from a new infantry section than a new grenadier squad, so there's that to be considered as well. So trading even 1 for 1, I feel like would be beneficial to the Germans right now. Grenade? Oh no, that's actually a smoke. Yeah, I feel like it would be beneficial to the Germans. Not sure though. Not entirely sure. Oh, finally, we've got some capping. And of course, it's Semenescu capping the right side. Not Samp, who has been on this right side the whole time and knows what's going on. Oh, looks like Semenescu in general is just shifting over to the right. Honestly, I feel like this is a major mistake. Okay, the one squad capping is, of course, very good, but I feel like switching over completely is a major mistake. This is going to make it harder for you to micro your units, and also it's going to dilute your forces and make it less likely that you're able to box the British back into their base. And this is going to give Simple Jack a bit of breathing room that, to be completely honest, he really shouldn't have. Like, he's now able to recap his points and stuff. He really should not be able to do this under any circumstance. So I don't know. Sorry, I had to drink a drink of water. I hope I didn't slurp into the mic too much. Honestly, this game should already be over. But what's kind of looking like it's going to happen is a major... It looks like Simple Jack is preparing to launch a major attack on the left with his 2 Comets and Vet-Free Firefly. On the right, we've got the Vet-Free Comet actually being pushed all the way to the map border. Oh, he's in a very bad position. He needs to get in here, perhaps using a smoke shell to cover the way. Oh, actually, he's got no munitions. Nice barrage, disrupting the AAT gun, but there's no follow-up to that disruption. Kind of weird. And in the meantime, on the left, we've got the Panther pushing up, but actually running straight into the line of British tanks. One of the AT guns is down. All of the Nazi infantry is running away, which is interesting. I feel like this was a kind of an accidental retreat. The Panther, though, is not chased down. Again, both of these sides, this time the British as well. So both sides being very conservative with their units. Avoiding to sort of press in some advantages that perhaps could have led to the end of the game. The Comets are now pushing up, but they're finding themselves in an odd spot versus 2 Tigers. And here comes the Vet-Free on the second Tiger. Yeah, here comes the Vet-Free on the second Tiger. Tiger is going to now try to chase down 2 Comets. That's a bad idea. Where is the Vet-Free Firefly? It keeps being in trouble and taking random damage. Yeah, I suppose this is the greatness of the Panzer Shreks. I'm guessing this is why the Firefly has to stay so far back. The Pack AT gun plus, random S Panzer Grenadiers plus the threat of Panzerfausts means that this Sherman Firefly is extremely vulnerable to Nazi units. It is extremely vulnerable to Nazi units, and 44. And this has really kind of prevented Simple Jack from sort of expanding his own zone of control. Looks like at the very least now we're going to see some capping going on from the Nazis, trying to push him back with the Free Grenadier squads, capping the fuel and the VP. We've got a recon run coming in. Not sure from exactly what. What's calling in recon runs from these British players? Interestingly enough, Simple Jack has gone for the advanced emplacement doctrine, which he really hasn't gotten any use out of that, except for the advanced forward assembly, I suppose. I don't know, man. I really am not the biggest fan of this, although he does have the repair crews off of the advanced assembly. He really hasn't used any other emplacements or gone for the Churchill Crocodile or something. I don't know, dude. Here comes the Vet-Free Panzer 6 Tiger from Samp, charging in with all of the infantry, and he's gonna take a major beating and probably die. I don't see how this Tiger survives, but the Comets are both very low. The Sherman Firefly is extremely low. Here comes the Panther following up. Here comes the Tiger and the other Panther following up again. The forward assembly is going to go down. The Panther is going to survive and get up to Vet 4. I'm guessing a couple British infantry, actually a lot of British infantry units have been wiped out. The AEC, which was still alive back in those woods over there, is destroyed. And, I mean, I don't see how the British can recover from this. Here comes another Comet from Simple Jack, but he's lost his Vet-Free Firefly. He's lost another Comet, and he's just lost his infantry corps, which, of course, is a major loss for him. I'm not liking the Sexton pick from Count Oddjob. The Royal Artillery was working for him when it came to the base artillery, but I don't know, I'm really not liking this Sexton. Perhaps he could have gone for a Valentine for the map hacking ability, but I don't know, man. I really don't know. Okay, sorry, I had to take another break, Lamau. Anyway, Yeah. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Am I seeing airburst shells? Where was that from, even? I forget where the airburst shells come... Wait, what? I didn't know this was a thing. I really didn't know this was a thing. You can look at your, like, field headquarters and see how many kills it has from the artillery guns. Damn, this makes some sense. It looks like it was added at some point, because there is no way I didn't know about this until now. There are not to be boastful about my incelitude, about my autisticness, but there are a few things about Company of Fears 2 that I do not know about. This is not a particularly prideful thing in my knowledge base, but you know, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of weird shit about Company of Fears 2, I know. This was not one of them. Anyway, ooh, ho 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 ho! Here comes a flank. Here comes also the barrage from the Panther. The Panther is being forced to withdraw by the AT gun fire. Here comes a fragmentation bombing, actually taking out one of the one of the AT guns, and the other AT gun is also out. Here comes the Comets flanking the two tanks from Semenescu, and it looks like the Vet 2 Comet is going to go down, and the second one is going to be destroyed as well. A very poorly planned offensive operation, to be completely honest, because there was no hammer to follow up from the other side. And now here comes the Panzer Grenadiers plus the Vet 3 Tiger are gonna hunt down this Comet like the dog it is. And how the fuck is this game not over? Excuse me, how is this game not fucking over? Just cap this point, it's over. GG. You can probably go destroy the base right now. Like, the British have nothing left. Yeah, here comes the smoke round. Oh, he's gonna get juked! But there's two Panzer Grenadiers with Panzer Shreks. And there he goes. Cap the VP, cap the other VP, game over. That's a GG, I believe. Damn! Two Company of Heroes players that are not... Wow, two Company of Heroes players that are not just like insulting each other all the time. Incredible. You guys are not real Company of Heroes players. But yeah, like, guys, just cap this VP, it's over. Like, game's over. Like, I mean, there is still a 42 kill Vet 3 Comet on the field, but like, this thing by itself cannot turn the whole game around. And in my opinion, these Sextons are a major mistake from Count Oddjob. Imagine if he was using his pop cap and resources on, like, you know, a Sherman Firefly or more Comets. He has actually managed to, like, keep his, you know, fleshy troops alive for a long time. Far longer than, well, most of them except for Semenescu, who still has... This is impressive, by the way. Like, this is actually straight up impressive. He has managed to keep all of his infantry that he built up over the course of the game alive. I don't think he's lost a single... like, Grenadier squad. Or even a single Panzer Grenadier squad. Nope. 3 produced, 0 lost. 2 produced, 0 lost. When it comes to Pioneers, 4 produced, 1 lost. When it comes to MG42, 1 produced, 1 lost. Of course, that was the Vet 3. Semenescu's unit preservation has been on the spot this game. That is not something I say lightly. Very rarely I've seen people pull this off. Even if your opponent is like not that good, just random shit is gonna wipe your units unless you're very careful about how you're microing them. Unless you're very good at keeping them in cover. You know, yeah, unless you're good at keeping them in good cover as well. Because if you're keeping them in some yellow cover, that's just gonna bunch your units up and make it easier for random AoE to wipe them. That cover is useless. So yeah, this is really, like, in my opinion, what the true cause of the German victory is. Like, just the fact that mainly Semenescu, but also to a lower extent Samp, were just better able to conserve their units, as it usually tends to be the case. I mean, you know. Plus, the German offensives were far better executed. When it comes to like British attacks, what I'm seeing is a lot of random infantry going in alone, and then attempts at follow-up by the armor, without, you know, major abilities being used in support nearly as much as they should be. But when the Germans go in, you know, you've got the Panther going in, dropping the Panzer barrage, you know, going in, Vet 5. Then after that, except for when Samp is playing alone, and then he's kind of being derpy. But then here comes the second wave, you know, with the Tiger and the infantry, and you know, it's worked out very well. Like, most of the British losses have been in big attacks, where the British couldn't just micro all of their units that effectively. And I mean, in part because of the German units being sturdier, in part because of, again, the strategy for these attacks being better planned out. It's resulted in some very nice successes for the Nazis. What's really not working is this fucking right side VP. This game was definitely way too long. It should have been over 20 minutes ago, but it's still going. I really see no hope for the Brits. I feel like a lot of other British players would have surrendered at this point. But these guys are not going it. Are not going to do that. I mean, look at this unit preservation. Like, this is not this float that Semenescu is going for with 2.2k manpower and 1k fuel. This is not a float that's resulting from like negligence in purchasing new units, right? Because he's at 86 pop cap. He can rebuild a couple like pioneer squads or whatever now. But other than that, not really. It is just because he's at full pop cap and he cannot rebuild anything. Cannot build anything new. Like, he just doesn't have the resources to spend on anything. Like, the amount of mistakes that the Germans would need to do to lose this game is just so industrial that I don't think it's even possible. Like, I don't think if both Semenescu and Samp dropped out and somehow the game, instead of just auto-losing, went to AI, I feel like the AIs would win at this point because of just how many resources are banked up on the German side and how much more preservation there was over the course of the map, of the game. But yeah, this is over. Nothing interesting is going to happen, most likely. I don't understand how this Comet has gotten so many kills and has had so little game impact. It's just sat in this quadrant the whole game, not doing anything. Like, this Comet is playing as if it's a Yag Tiger. It's like, I mean, it's been very effective, 53 infantry kills and 1 vehicle kill, but like what the fuck are you doing over here? This is the first time you've moved your Comet to do anything, and this is what it's doing? Like, what the hell? Like, there's a lot of things going on in the mid, you know? Like, you could have secured a kill on this Tiger. I mean, the game's over, but you could have secured a kill on the Tiger, you know? Oh, this is hold the line, right? Just random strafing runs. Why wasn't this used earlier? This is actually somewhat useful to pin down the infantry. I don't know, my dude. I really don't know. I don't know, man. A few major mistakes by the British, really causing them major hurt. Anyway, this is gonna be the end of the replay. I want to thank y'all for watching. What? That's kind of cool, actually. This is not gonna be the thumbnail, but like, look at how like weirdly cool this positioning is. Anyway, this was the replay. Thank you to Semenescu for sending in the replay. As always, if you want to send in replays, I believe my email is down in the description, ? It should be. Send me replays. I will cast them, maybe, not sure. I mean, there's also going to be live gameplay coming from Company of Heroes 2 on the channel. So lots of Company of Heroes 2, plus there's going to be some Victoria 2 multiplayer videos. Perhaps you've already seen some of the Company of Heroes 2 live gameplays, and I will, I suppose, go back to like recording some Paradox Games single-player runs, and perhaps even making some edited series, especially when it comes to Victoria 2 multiplayer, when it comes to perhaps even some Hearts of Iron 4, when I get back into the mood to play some Kaiserreich and some Equestria at War. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.